I glanced down at my light blue t-shirt that read, "Easily distracted by dogs." What? I just like to state this right up front so people aren't offended when I stop paying attention to them. But sometimes there's no dog, Neville countered. I shrugged. This is Chipping Cheddar. There's always a dog in sight. I pointed to the far side of the park. I see a golden retriever right there. Very distracting. I don't think I can do any more training now that I've spotted him. Neville eyed me with skepticism. I don't think you were gazing dreamily at the dog, Agent Fury. I balked. I don't gaze dreamily. Neville cast a glance over his shoulder. Was that a police car that drove past a moment ago? I suppose you were hoping to touch base with Deputy Guthrie? Hardy har. Neville knew perfectly well that Sean Guthrie and I loathed each other. Sean and I had grown up together. He was close friends with my ex-boyfriend, Tanner Hughes. Sean had delighted in my misery after Tanner and I broke up. My thoughts trailed off as a new memory slid into place. We'd broken up because I'd caught Tanner cheating with sassafras Sassy Persimmons, head cheerleader extraordinaire. Thanks to a demon's influence over Aunt Thora, I'd recently learned that Tanner hadn't cheated of his own volition. The cruel act had been the result of a spell cast by my own family because they didn't want me in a serious relationship with a human. On the one hand, it was water under the bridge. I was no longer interested in Tanner, and he and Sassy were still together. On the other hand, the violation of trust had scarred me for years, and I hadn't been involved in another meaningful relationship. Until now. Earth to Agent Fury! Neville snapped his fingers. You don't have to snap, I said. I'm listening. Are you? Neville regarded me curiously. In that case, what were my instructions? Okay, so my mind had wandered. That was only because training exercises were boring. If there wasn't an actual demon in front of me, I couldn't see the point of using magic or any other powers. I'd spent my life avoiding them, and now I was expected to use them every day. Sometimes it was all too much. Your instructions were to caffeinate you, I said. I don't believe that's what I said. I nodded vigorously. You mentioned coffee. I heard you distinctly. Neville eyed me. Would this have anything to do with the certain chief of police holding coffee with the cop hours? No, Chief Fox does that at Magic Beans. I was thinking we'd go to the daily grind. I strolled toward the wizard and gave him a firm pat on the shoulder. Come on, Neville. You've earned a drink. Neville still seemed distrustful. What's wrong with Magic Beans? I thought you decided to split your time between the two. Exactly. This is me splitting my time. I was trying to avoid running into Chief Fox in public, especially places like Magic Beans, which was owned by a perceptive witch named Corinne LaRue. I didn't need tongues wagging if the chief accidentally brushed his hand against mine, or if I laughed too loudly at his jokes. In fairness, I laughed too loudly in general. This is like romance roulette, Agent Fury, Neville said. I frowned. Romance roulette sounds like something else entirely. Neville was one of the select few that knew I was romantically involved with the chief, and I hoped to keep it that way. The last thing I wanted was for my family to discover my secret and resort to magic to break us up like they did with Tanner. Although I had yet to confront my mother and grandma about their past trickery, it was only a matter of time before I lost my temper. When things finally went cauldron-shaped, someone was going to end up dead and buried, and I didn't want that someone to be me. The air was pleasantly warm, so Neville and I opted to walk along the promenade into town. The pathway provided a sweeping view of the bay, which sparkled in the afternoon sunlight. It was no wonder the Puritans decided to put down roots here. Who could blame them? With surnames like Burgess, Calvert, and Dorsey, the English settlers started as dairy farmers, but eventually turned to cheesemaking. That decision changed the course of the town's history and was reflected in the street names and establishments to this day. Any plans for the rest of the weekend? Neville asked as we approached the entrance to the daily grind. I debated whether to tell him about my date with the chief tonight. Just because he knew about us didn't mean he had to be kept in the loop on the details, though. The usual.